I am a freelance writer who writes feminist things, and I am afraid of men. I am one of those women who does not trust men by default.
Hello, my dear friends. The talk out on the internets is that the BBC's decision to pick the lead role for the long-running sci-fi series Doctor Who was made in part to fill their new equity quota. Now that's a harsh accusation, but you can see by the BBC's new targets for the year 2020, they are engaged in a quota system. And I won't say that having people represented is a bad thing, because it isn't. But creating a strategy that will punish people who do not represent a specific category is the wrong way to go about this. Let's just say that it is as wrong as the old system that this is in reaction to. Reasonable people do not support a decades-old system of discrimination-based hiring practices, but to replace it with a mandatory discrimination system is just as wrong. But you may ask, hey, Disturbing Trends, why are you against the Doctor being played by a woman? To which I would reply, I am not against anyone playing the role of the Doctor. What is most important is to return the show to its pre-identity politics, social justice on steroids, intersectional glory days. Wow, that was a mouthful. In the past, like its American counterpart, Star Trek, the show reflected topical issues of the day. Sarah Jane Smith, the feminist journalist, and the two scientific advisors, Liz Shaw and Joe Grant, although all attractive ladies, broke through the long-established expectations of being set decorations to assist in the storytelling. Later we see the two Romanas, who were not mere sidekicks, but the Time Lord's equal, being that Romana was a Time Lord, not so difficult to imagine. Fast forward to the diversity of the actors chosen for the revived series 2005 and beyond. There is no shortage of representation of black companions, mixed race couples as sidekicks, and a sprinkling of alien folk to grace the inside of the TARDIS. Maybe it's not fair to say that Jodie Whittaker is a quota hire. Some have pointed to the third wave feminist direction that the show has taken in the last few years. Others have suggested that the very idea itself comes from the lips of the new showrunner. Doctor Who's new boss, Chris Chibnall, always wanted the 13th Doctor to be a woman. We're thrilled to have secured our #1 choice. Many fans are excited about the new Doctor. Some are put off by what they perceive as a quota hire. They argue that the role of the Doctor has always been a male, and for a good reason. He is a male character. Some have suggested that it is demeaning to women to have a role hijacked so that a female can lead it, when for over 50 years it has been a man. As if women are unable to star in their own shows without riding the coattails of the patriarchy. Others rightly argue that if the BBC and or the fans wanted a female star, there is no shortage of great women characters from the show to choose from. Take, for example, the successful Sarah Jane Adventures, starring Elizabeth Sladen. Though sadly Miss Sladen is gone, there are plenty of former characters that could spin off from the series the way that Sarah Jane or even Torchwood did. You have Romana, the Doctor's daughter, and, well, River Song. There has been a sizable fan backlash to this decision that threatens the already sagging ratings the show has seen since it went full-bore SJW a few years ago. Although you wouldn't be aware of it if you are getting your updates from Stephen Moffat. Doctor Who boss says, shut the hell up about female star backlash. Stephen Moffat shared some harsh words for people complaining about the first female Doctor casting news. There has been so many press articles about a backlash among the Doctor Who fandom about casting a female Doctor, Moffat said. There has been no backlash at all. The story of the moment is that the notionally conservative Doctor Who fandom has utterly embraced that change completely. 80% approval on social media. So many people wanting to pretend there is a problem. There isn't. It's been incredibly progressive and enlightened, and that's what really happened. I wish every other journalist who was writing the alternative would shut the hell up. Moderator Chris Hardwick called anyone complaining about Whittaker's casting as asshole and not a real fan of the show if you don't accept this, wagging his finger at us. The thousands of fans gathered in Hall H erupted in cheers and applause. A few things come to mind after reading these comments on The Hollywood Reporter. If there has been so many articles about a backlash, then why are you denying their existence? Every time there is a change to the show, especially when there is a new actor for the title role, there is some grumbling, some backlash. Fans often are not happy with the new choices. I would think that the big players at the BBC would want to address the issues raised by longtime fans. More than likely, they are fans who have supported the show long before the 2005 respawning of it, instead of brushing them off as people not worthy of having opinions, like a true authoritarian progressive. Moffat wants them to shut up and go away, and I'm sure there will be a lot of that happening. And who the hell is this Hardwick person to insult the fans of the series, telling people critical of changes to the show that they are not real fans? The hallmark of the regressive left is the idea that they are correct and everyone else is wrong. If you disagree with me, then you are a Nazi. Do tell me, Chris Hardwick, why are fans compelled to accept any changes to the show? The insecure intersectional feminists cannot grasp the concept that some might be adverse to a change and accept it because I say so. They may even go on to enjoy the series with the first female Doctor. In their binary world of either friend or foe, the SJWs cannot grasp the notion that people can have their minds changed. But in their world, it is an imperative or they are assholes. It's not a surprise because in the world of identity politics and intersectional feminism, there is a vast victim culture with arcane hierarchies, a world where the victim has no agency, is not responsible for their own actions because of the patriarchy or name your excuse. In the real world, there is give and take, and some fans excited about the 13th Doctor may very well lose interest in it if the stories continue to suck, and some haters may be convinced to renew their interest in the series if the writing and production continues to improve. If you live in the 21st century on the earth and have access to this human thing called the internet, you may be very well aware that Moffat's claim that there is no controversy is utter nonsense. First woman to play Doctor Who sparks backlash. The Doctor Who Time Lord is officially a time lady, and some fans of the show are devastated. But the BBC's official confirmation Sunday that the role would go to actress Jodie Whittaker seemed to hit a nerve for some Whovians. Multiple fans responded to the news by declaring the show ruined and proclaimed that they would never tune in again after the series indulged in the fashionable trend of gender equity. It is notable that they use the words indulged in the fashionable trend of gender equity because this is the mindset of many fans. I will digress for a minute to point out that Jodie Whittaker is not an unknown and has the credentials that span as many as a dozen years. You can see for yourself that Jodie has been pretty busy doing that acting stuff since 2016 or before. A lengthy list of roles performed is not a guarantee of her success with Doctor Who, but it shows that she's no newcomer to acting. But all is not good news for Stephen Moffat and his droogs. In the Mercury News, they report, new female Doctor Who scores big victory for pay equity. All hail the new Doctor Who. In a major victory for show business, an industry racked by accusations of sexual harassment and gender inequity, Jodie Whittaker has just won a huge coup for equal pay. Whittaker, who just made her debut as the latest incarnation of Time Lord, the first female doctor in the history of the iconic 55-year-old show, recently said she will get the same salary as her male predecessor, Peter Capaldi, on the iconic BBC series. All hail indeed. Why is this a victory for show business? More like a victory for Jodie Whittaker's bank account. I'm thrilled to death that she'll be paid the big bucks for her upcoming role as the Doctor. However, is this what it's all about? Money? Pay equity? Jodie should be getting the salary commensurate with her abilities and experience, and the most important factor, will she deliver the goods? That is to say, will she bring the Who ratings that are currently in the tank up? And if so, deserves whatever she demands. Focusing solely on cash, money, rewards, cheapens the contract she has with the fans. What's that, you say? She has no contract with the fans. Well, how about a trust that she will endeavor to bring the series out of this several-year slump? Now, if she gets crap writing or producing or budget for the show, then maybe she won't be able to pull it off. But I want to briefly return to the subject of fashionable trends, because this obsession with equity and diversity has become ideological. It's no longer about equality and all the righteous causes that most of us would get behind. It's about the ideology of multiculturalism that is poisoning the well. Reasonable people are not against other cultures, but when those cultures are out to replace the ones that welcome them with open arms, it becomes a problem.
We've recently become aware of a foe so dastardly and so numerous that you might have one in your own home.
You've probably guessed it by now. We're talking about old, white men.
In the UK Guardian, Marianne Jean-Baptiste says, the old men running the industry just have not got a clue. They've got to come to terms with the fact that Britain is no longer a totally white place where people ride horses, wear long frocks, and drink tea. The national dish is no longer fish and chips, it's curry. Well, I like curry. There can never be enough of that spicy stuff. But this statement is a window into the mentality of multiculturalism, which ties directly to diversity. The reason that some fans are cautious about the motivations for changing the gender or sex of their favorite Time Lord. Now back to the BBC. BBC launches ambitious new diversity and inclusion strategy. The BBC has today launched its ambitious new strategy that will hardwire diversity and inclusion into everything the corporation does, on and off air. The bold plans, themed around our audiences, our people, and our partnerships, build on the significant progress already made and set out how the corporation will do even more to reflect the public it serves. Well, I love me some diversity, but not at the cost of people who have earned their careers or successes. Why would I say it like that? It's almost as if I'm against an enforced quota system that will discriminate against one group in favor of another. BBC Director General launches new diversity plan for corporation. Tony Hall aims to boost number of minorities on air by more than 40%, with targets for production staff and management as well. Lenny Henry wants the BBC to go further and commit to quotas for a number of Black, Asian, and minority ethnic people in production roles. So, remind me again, how would the BBC accomplish this quota? Oh yes, almost forgot about their enforced percentage goals. It's almost as if the BBC is using the very popular Doctor Who program as a vehicle to deliver its diversity quota. I want to end this video on a good note. Before I do, I highly recommend that you check bowlestrek's YouTube page, linked to his channel below, for far more intelligent insight into this subject. Doctor Who has been a favorite around the globe since the 1960s. It has at times smashed barriers and conventions. The Pertwee years come to mind with themes of environment and war. It has its ups and downs in popularity and was even canceled for many years, that led to its amazing comeback with Christopher Eccleston in 2005. Some fear the series will not survive its already waning glory with a perceived equity hire, changing the gender of the main character in pursuit of a new quota system, but those that have stuck with the series over the years believe that the Doctor will always escape extermination, even when the producers of the show seem to want to push it in that direction. The Doctor will live on DVD in the old series going back from 1963 to the present, in the endless books and audio series, and most importantly, in our hearts. The bigwigs and fat cats of the production team seem to have no interest in what all fans think or want. But if we have only one wish, That is for the show to return to its former glory and not descend deeper into the swamp of intersectional feminism with an SJW narrative. Success is long fought and hard earned. Failure is simple and destructive. It is much easier to build upon earlier success than to have to haul it up from the bottom of the pit. Team Doctor Who, you've made your decisions. Let's hope they are ones that have the series' best interests at heart. Progress can be good if for the right reasons. Goodbye.